This is Eagle Owl, and today I'll be talking about AJ Brown. He will humble Emmanuel Forbes again. Also, we got to talk about Saquon Barkley's role. And lastly, compare practice to this year. It's not really much to compare from this year to last, but Baldy broke something down about last year's practice. But let's get straight into it. All right, so before we get straight into it, let's talk about Jalen Hurts. He is handling business. I'm not talking about on the field, I'm talking about off the field. All right, so Jalen Hurts officially trademarked the phrase BU, that always enough. And look, these are the phrases he owned: Hurts so good, breed of one, purpose before opinion. I had a purpose before anyone had an opinion. We all know those are Jalen Hurts' famous phrases, and he's getting a check for those phrases. So it's good that he trademarked it. Now it's gonna be on merch, probably, of course. So look out for merch for Jalen Hurts. Those phrases, like, he's trademarking them, so he ain't letting nobody steal them. And Jalen Hurts, whoever his eight, well, we know who his agent is, but whoever handling his business, more than likely his agent, they not letting them phrases go for free. So shout out to Jalen Hurts handling business, of course, on the field, but off the field, look like he got the business right. All right, so let's talk about AJ Brown. What made me randomly bring up AJ Brown and Emmanuel Forbes? We all know last year AJ Brown basically made Emmanuel Forbes cry. Emmanuel Forbes had a hard day. I mean, I got to give it up to the Rook. He did step up to the challenge. At the end of the day, he just simply wasn't ready for AJ Brown. Devontae Smith had one hell of a day too against Washington, but Emmanuel Forbes wanted to follow AJ Brown, and Jalen Hurts was tossing them things up to AJ Brown. But it's this picture going around of Emmanuel Forbes. We all know he was thin coming out of college, but it looked like he got thinner as of today. Like, it's this viral picture going around of him with some guy, and he looked like sticks and stones. So you got AJ Brown bulking up, looking swole. Then you got Emmanuel Forbes looking like sticks and stones. Even Devontae Smith is bulking up. So this dude, man, if he's starting that season, yeah, AJ's gonna humble him again. The dude do got a big mouth. He has been humbled a little bit since that AJ Brown game, or since that first game against the Eagles. He's been humbled a little bit. But to go out there during the off season and possibly lose weight, that ain't good. That ain't good. But best of luck to him. AJ Brown is going to humble that man again. Hell, even if Dan Quinn moved him to Devontae Smith is going to humble him. It's going to humble that kid. So we see what he do. I believe he's going to get humbled, and losing weight during the off season wasn't the best thing for him. So again, AJ Brown will humble him. All right, so let's get into the next topic. Let's talk about Saquon Barkley. Saquon Barkley role with the Philadelphia Eagles. When you look at our receivers, when you look at Devontae Smith, you look at AJ Brown and Dallas Goedert and Jalen Hurts, you think, well, the offense should run through them. But I'm thinking the opposite way. I'm thinking the offense should actually try to run through Barkley, then feature everybody else. For example, you could use Barkley for the play action. Of course, that opens up the field. RPO, and just in general opens up the field. Best O-line in football. Come on, Saquon Barkley haven't had a best O-line since entering the league. So he got an O-line that's going to open up holes for him. He got receivers that's going to lighten the box for him, because you can't stack the box. But you got them two locomotives out there in Devontae Smith and AJ Brown. Then you got to deal with Dallas Goedert as another option. I believe Saquon should be the focal point, because Saquon, if he gets going, I think we can blow out a lot of teams. And I'm saying that humbly. Like, if Saquon gets going, that's just going to open up the field, because at some point you're going to have to stack the box. And now I was listening to Baldy, and he brought up Saquon role. He actually brought up last year too. And last year, it seemed like Jalen Hurts got the money, which is always good, but it seemed like they wanted to air it out and they kept talking about this explosive play thing, which is nice to have explosive plays, but for your offenses to be focused on explosive plays, I think hurt us. But let's listen to Baldy and what he had to say about Saquon Barkley's role.
Situations. But yes, I mean, Saquon, in theory here, Mike, he could get runways that he's never seen before. And he needs a runway. He's no different than Derrick Henry. Some of these backs that just don't make people miss, they can't just elude defenders. He needs holes. He needs a runway. He might get that behind this offense line like he never saw in New York. And he's an every down back. And so you have to figure out a way to really get him started before you really start thinking about all the other components on this offense right now. So I am with you. Like this thing, they have to be committed to the run. For whatever reason, they stopped that last year. It made no sense all the way to that ugly playoff loss to Tampa, where they just got out of it way too early.
I totally agree. I totally agree. The offense had to run through Saquon. If it runs through Saquon, I'm telling you, everything will open up because when you look at the games we lost, it's like, why did we stray away from the run? Why are we pulling DeAndre Swift at this moment in time? One of the best games I thought we played overall was that Vikings game. Remember the Vikings game? Kenneth Gainwell was hurt and everything was just running through DeAndre Swift. And once DeAndre Swift got going, everybody else start cooking. Then you had Devontae Smith start cooking, AJ Brown start cooking, Dallas Goedert start looking good. The old line was just fluid because DeAndre Swift opened up the offense. Now the games we looked the worst, we ran the ball less. We was force feeding, trying to go deep and do this and do that. Hell, you seen some routes where the players were damn near running into each other. Like, what type of play is that? So yes, Baldy is right. You have to get the run game going. Hell, even if I go back to the playoff game, there were moments where Kenneth Gainwell actually looked good. It's like, okay, let's keep that rolling. Nope, didn't. We trying to force feed Quez. Devontae Smith looked good. Dallas Goedert was dropping balls. Why not run the ball? We wasn't even down by that much yet. We should have stuck to the run, and we just didn't. We just simply didn't. And I think Saquon paying him that amount of money, that's why I'm comfortable with paying Saquon that amount of money, because now you could justify, like, yo, you paying him a lot of money, not paying him a lot of money just to block, just to get subbed out all the time. You paying him a lot to play. Kellen Moore got to feature him. Kellen Moore has to feature him. I mean, Saquon is going to have a big role with the Philadelphia Eagles. All right, so let's get into the last topic of the day, practice. So Baldy actually talked about our practice last year, and he was like, yo, he didn't actually say it, but he was alluding to it that our practice was soft. And he was like, yo, you could damn near have a part-time job and do an Eagles practice, whereas it's the NFL, the practice should be more gruesome. Sidney Brown came out and said, like, the practice were a little soft. He didn't say those words, but he's like, well, you practice how you play, and what, missed tackles. We getting beat deep every single time on the defensive side of the ball. The offense start getting exposed. But let's listen to Baldy talk about our last year's practice.
Nick Sirianni, like, I don't know what they do, Mike, honestly. Like, you watch him at practice. I mean, you could have a part-time job and still be a member of the Eagles and get through practice. Like, it's just, but at the same time, they've started 8-0 and 10-1. So it's not like they haven't gotten off to good starts the last 2 years. And he inherited a team that was 4-11-1, and they got into the playoffs. But as the season went on, I mean, Jordan Davis, like, did anybody pursue the football the last 6 weeks of the season? It didn't look like it was important last year. They were as bad a tackling team as it was in the NFL last year. And the ball went over their head over and over again. So only Washington was worse in pass defense. So there's a lot to fix. And I'm sure Vic, I mean, I go back with Vic when he was, the linebacker coach for the Dome Patrol, Mike. Like, he only knows one way. And so I'm anxious to see OTAs, I'll be there next week or the week after. I'm anxious to see summer camp and to see if they do more than what I've watched them do over the last couple seasons in camp.
Yeah, well, the prognosis.
He also made some good points too. He's like, well, it was hard to really justify having softer practice because we did start out fast. The past two seasons, we started out fast. What, 8-1, then like 10-0 or something like that. We always started out fast, so you could justify like, yeah, the lighter practices are working. But what you seen happen, the hitting wasn't good. Again, we just look soft. We look soft. So the practices, I believe, are going to be more gruesome, especially with a Vic Fangio. I know on the defensive side, they're going to go crazy. Kellen Moore, I'm not sure how his practice is, but if the defense is going hard, the offense more than likely is going to be going hard too. Pause. So yeah, I can't wait to see this team play again. We gonna see if they come out with a different energy. I believe even our first team is going to see some preseason action week one, joint practices and things like that. So it's good having an old school guy here who wants to work his team. Miami had a problem with that, but I don't think Philadelphia will. But hey, man, what do you think? How do you feel about the news today? Will AJ Brown expose Emmanuel Forbes again? I say yes. Also, the practices and Saquon Barkley's role. But this is Eagle Al. I'm out.